Ladies and
Okay.
gentlemen, boys and girls, joining on the phone this morning, the Big Ticket Morning Show, none other than our president, Joe Biden. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, pal. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us here again, the great city of Atlanta. Thanks you for your commitment to this country and all that you do for us. What's at stake for voters this election?
I think our very democracy is at stake. You know, Trump is already saying that last time out the election was rigged, wasn't true. I watched him doing a thing in New Jersey recently saying that he received more votes than any president. He doesn't mention I received 8 million more votes than he did, but that doesn't seem to count to him. And this is a guy who, encouraged an insurrection on January 6th. That insurrection attacked the right to vote, and found ourselves in a situation where he now says that if in fact he gets elected, he's going to give them all pardons. All those people pled guilty were convicted. A couple cops were killed. I mean, it's just, and I watched him today saying that if he doesn't win this time, there'll be a bloodbath. What president has ever said anything like that? I'll restore the right to choose for the national ban, punish women. Now what he's talking about. Mm-hmm. He wants to make the wealthy corporations pay less. I want to pay their fair share. Going to double down on this $2 trillion tax cut. This is a guy, by the way, who when he was president of the United States, he had started with more jobs than he ended with. The only guy other than him was another guy who became very famous named Herbert Hoover. but all kidding aside, there's a fundamentally different view of America than I do, and it's all about hate, retribution, and this is a guy who says that about dictators like Putin, if a country that we have an alliance with is not paying what he thinks is their fair share for their own defense, he tells Putin, just go ahead and invade, it's all yours, man. Wow. And the list goes on, but literally, I heard him today, I was watching my staff put together a presentation in New Jersey, and he said that foreign leaders respect him. Well, I don't know, man. I go to all these international conferences. I've known foreign leaders for a long time. I don't know, man. I can't think of any who are true Democrats who are looking for him to get elected. Their democracy is state. Like, for example, when the kid got shot in that shooting, he said, when I was asked about it, he said, well, this guy, you got to get over it. Just get over it.
Right.
Give me a break. Anyway, I can go on, but I shouldn't.
Talking to President Joe Biden this morning on the Big Ticket Morning Show. For Georgia residents that may say, what has the Biden-Harris administration done for me as a black person? What would you offer to them, the things that your administration has done? They may not be familiar with some of the accomplishments. Can you speak to some of those first?
I promise to get through this toughest time in history with the first act that no Republican voted for. We vaccinated the country and gave $1,400 checks to people to get through that period of time. And we created 15 million new jobs. We built black wealth back up. Black wealth was up 60% since the pandemic. Black home ownership is up. I'm fighting back against racial bias and home appraisal. Nearly 1 million new business applications in Georgia after investing hundreds of millions of dollars in small businesses in the state. Mm-hmm. Saved 76,000 black homeowners more than $800 a month, and promised to relieve student debt, and I did. $160 billion in student loan debt, and nearly 4.6 million borrowers, including many black borrowers in Georgia. Plan to relieve student loan debt for $30 million overall. I've invested in HBCUs because the students are just as bright and capable of any university. They don't have the endowments other universities have. So to build laboratories and the like for all the future advanced technology. Whether Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, Savannah State, Spelman, Fort Valley State, and we took on big pharma. Result is a lot of African Americans need insulin like many other Americans need to deal with their diabetes. Well, guess what? It used to be $400 a month. Now it's $35 a month.
Nice.
We're going to cap all expenses. We passed the law passing all expenses. Prescription drugs at $2,000 beginning January 2024 for 1.9 million Georgia Medicare. More black families have health coverage under the ACA than ever before. The list goes on. And we put money in pockets, as I said, making progress. But too many corporations are still ripping people off. That's why these junk fees I'm going after. Mm-hmm. They crack down on the idea if you bounce a check, you're going to have to pay $35, $40 in a fee. Well, I changed that. You can't charge more than $8 because it's just a junk fee. Cracking down on corporate price gouging. Stop banks, hotels, airlines charging these fees. And look, Trump hurt black people every chance he got as president. Black unemployment, non-insurance rates went up under Trump. Trump's tax scam reinforced discrimination. Typical white household got double the cut of the typical black household. They botched the COVID-19 response, supposedly leaving black people dead. Black-owned businesses shuttered. He pushed to bring back stop and frisk law. Remember who Trump is. He falsely accused of Central Park 5. He's the founder of birthism. He tried to repeal Obamacare the first time.
Right.
Now he's promised to do even more damage to black.
You mentioned the Affordable Health Care Act, and access to affordable health care is a major issue for the black community.
Absolutely.
What else can be done by your administration to help combat that?
Well, first of all, the first most important thing we can do is make sure the Affordable Health Care Act is not cut by this guy, which he says he's going to do it. And lower prescription drug costs. We've done that. We paid the most expensive drug costs in the world. And, we brought down, as I said, the case for capped insulin costs at $35 instead of $400. More black families have coverage under the ACA. Black enrollment has nearly doubled, saving families $800 a month on premiums. We took on big pharma, so Medicare can now negotiate prices. Under Trump, uninsurance rates went up and not was down. He tried to repeal Obamacare and the ACA 50 times. And if he succeeds, it would raise premiums $12,000 for a Georgia middle class family. He wants to cut Social Security, and he wants to make sure the Medicare is cut as well, increasing costs, giving tax rates to the super wealthy. And the bottom line here is that this is a guy who is all about wanting to make all these cuts so he can make multi-billionaires and millionaires tax breaks, significant tax. And I have a completely different view of it.
I appreciate that. We are talking to President Joe Biden this morning on the Big Ticket Morning Show on V103. President, I'll get you out of here on this last question. There's been a lot of conversation about the lack of enthusiasm in this particular election, or maybe some voters who might be apathetic due to some of the policies and what's taking place in the Middle East. Here in Atlanta, there's even been chatter about potential protests of your commencement address at Morehouse, for example. What are your response to this, voters? What can you say to these people to reassure them that their vote does matter and is needed?
Most people, black, white, Hispanic, Asian American, don't focus on the vote until they get closer to the fall. Just a practical matter. They're every day trying to meet ends, put things together. So that's number one. But number two, it's hard to get legitimate information these days, other than through radio shows like yours. And I'm not being solicitous. You notice there's very few people that watch the nightly news. Very few people. They get their information from all different sources. And so part of it is getting focused, number one. Number two, I hear talk about, I'm honored to be able to speak to the future leaders of America this weekend in Morehouse and celebrate the accomplishments of the graduates. But I've been very clear. Every American has a right to peacefully protest. Once that protest crosses the line into hate speech or violence, that's unacceptable. And so, your vote is your voice. Lots of close elections the last couple, and every vote counts. I ran in 2020 because democracy was at stake, and I think it still is, because folks like you turned out to vote in 2020, we have made remarkable progress. Trump decides he's going to take it all down from. For example, one of the things I did in the legislation relating to infrastructure, we're replacing every lead pipe in Georgia, every single one, so that now the kids, you're not going to worry about your kid in school or at home drinking water that has lead in it that causes brain damage. We're making sure that everybody has access to affordable internet, affordable and available. And that's costing billions of dollars. We're paying for it to get it done. So everybody has access. Trump's presidency could mean a return to chaos, division, and violence, not extremism. And with regard to protest again, I have, as everybody is beginning to realize now, I've done more to convince the Israelis, the Egyptians, and others to open up access to get aid into Gaza. The idea that the ugly, ugly trauma that Hamas caused by victimizing those 1,200 kids and tying a mother and her baby together, pouring kerosene on them, lighting them until they burn to death, all those terrible, terrible things. And so I made it clear that I don't think that they should go into Rafa or other places where there's intense and concentrated populations of hundreds of thousands of people and take actions that are going after someone but are indiscriminately killing a lot of people that are innocent in the process. And I've been pushing that for a long time. I think there should be a ceasefire to get the prisoners out,
right,
and a discussion for a long-term ceasefire. But I understand that there are people who are really upset, and they think that somehow I could stop it. Truth of the matter is, I'm doing all I can to make sure aid gets in, significant amounts of aid. I've been meeting with the king of Jordan, and I put together a coalition that was, anyway. The bottom line is, I think that there's a lot of legitimate concern. I think people have a right to protest, to do it peacefully, and I respect.
Well, President Joe Biden, we appreciate your time and your voice here in Atlanta. I hope to run into you this weekend somewhere running around on Morehouse campus as you hit the AUC for your commencement speech. I look forward to
I hope so too, man. And by the way, we created 450,000 jobs in Georgia. When Trump was president, he lost 72,000.
Amen.
We got to build this economy from the middle out and the bottom up, and that's what we're doing.
Well, we are here for it, sir. Again, thank you for the time and the opportunity to speak with you this morning, and we definitely look forward to welcoming you back to Atlanta.
And I hope we welcome you back to your program. I like talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you. President Joe Biden, ladies and gentlemen, with the Big Ticket Morning Show on the People Station V103.